Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and see a diverse crowd of experts. And I'm quite privileged to hear from a seasoned diplomat and as well as one of the youngster of our political transition, I would say. The topic is quite interesting for an academic. Basically, I came here to learn um, and to see how people are defining the need for a comprehensive foreign policy at a time when the country is going through transition and kind of mixed feelings, a bit of optimism, a bit of ambiguities, a bit of uncertainties as well. And all of these things matter for understanding foreign policy because now people are saying like who's pulling the string from behind the scene in shaping the future of Bangladesh and I hope that we'll get some useful insights. Now as an academic I see foreign policy first to the levels of analysis. At what levels are we talking? Bilateral, multilateral? Bilaterally, I would say that we need to understand the top sources of our exports and imports, and we need to maintain that balance. I see that India, China, and the United States matter heavily in Bangladesh foreign policy, and then we need to have a delicate balance in promoting relations, bilateral relations with all these three countries. And Japan and among the EU countries, Germany also matter tremendously in our foreign policy, and we can't ignore those facts. Myanmar is a bilateral, is our one of the closest neighbors, but unfortunately is perhaps one of the least prioritized states in Bangladesh bilateral relations. I think we need to, as we are moving towards transition, having a soul searching of how to develop a comprehensive foreign policy, I think we need to prioritize Myanmar as well, given the fact that we're hosting more Rohingyas in Bangladesh than even Myanmar is having in its own territory. So I think that we need to have a well-articulated strategy for managing our bilateral relations with these key partners. Secondly, when it comes to multilateralism, I would say that our strong commitment to the UN-centric multilateral foreign policy needs to be maintained. We need to understand that we are strongly committed to global governance of many things: migration, climate change, refugees, global trade. And Bangladesh feels more comfortable playing strategic games at the UN level, asserting its agency with the global South. So I think that's a very niche area, and Bangladesh needs to prioritize its multilateral diplomacy at the UN. European Union is also a very key player in global affairs, and other than that, the World Bank, IMF, given the fact that we often get the prescriptions on good governance, rule of law, and rights issues, these are the three actors that often determine the way we should move ahead. Definitely on economic governance, World Bank and IMF matter a lot, but we need to understand like how our lending policies, how our dependence on foreign aid are well aligned with our domestic governance priorities. Moving to the regional domain, I see that SARC was long in the back seat, and there's a need for reviving the SARC. And we can also learn a lot from ASEAN. Bangladesh has been a candidate for ASEAN sectoral dialogue partners, which is seen more as a stepping stone towards membership. Given our proximity to the Southeast Asian region, like Bangladesh is a bridge between SARC and ASEAN, these two international regional actors, and we need to catch up with them. And also, if you look at the trade dynamics, I think China is our largest source of import now, followed by India, and I think the third major source of import is I think either Indonesia or Singapore and all the East Asian countries. Still, we have little knowledge of how these Southeast Asian nations are progressing. I think this blindness need to be overcome. If the foreign ministry is to work effectively, its foreign policy has to be on the right track, and if the academia needs to be understanding the needs of the foreign ministry and the foreign policy practitioners, there's a complete vacuum of knowledge. We don't have any informed dialogue even from one side. Academics don't talk about facts-based issues. Public policy, foreign policy, elites are unreachable, untouchable, I would say. So I think that there's a need to bridge the gap between academics and practitioners in understanding what is comprehensive and how we can deal with this. So I just discussed three things: bilateral level relationship, multilateral, and then regional. Now I move to the thematic issues, and I would say that our export basket is heavily dependent on RMG, and we need to diversify it in three different domains. We need to focus on pharmaceutical industry and ICT as well, and also moving away from a tailoring nation to high-end products in the RMG sector. Like, there are lots of products. Some countries are leaving the market, so we need to catch up with those. Rather than just tailoring the T-shirts and pants, like the blazers and other items can be added to the list. And also we need to diversify which countries should be our other destinations aside from United States and the European Union. Thematically, Rohingya issue also deserves a huge priority. We are hosting now 1.5 million Rohingyas. Officially, the estimate is 1.2 million. And I think that the issue has never received as much attention as it deserves. We need to be more creative in understanding the regional geopolitics and geostrategic competitions between the different countries. Peacekeeping is also quite interesting. I think that we need to focus with the more budget cuts. Bangladesh is now receiving, I think, out of 600 troops currently deployed worldwide, 6,000, where roughly 1,300 are going to be returning pretty soon because of the 25% global funds cut. So we need to have some more soul searching of how we can keep the number intact. What are the different ways of sending our experts aside from troops? I mean, we had a brainstorming session at the Dhaka University IR department this morning, and then we learned that there's a huge demand for civilian experts, starting from linguistic translators, different service people, skill set people, and then I don't know why we are not tapping that market. Why neighboring countries are hugely? I mean, people don't know that there's a huge job market there. There is no awareness. So we need to understand the demand side as well as create the supply side by training people and doing their skills, skilling them. Diaspora, tapping the diaspora resources, I would say that one of the most important but least understood. Bangladesh has a huge resourceful diaspora communities in North America and Western Europe, aside from Australia and other countries, and they are willing and able to provide the development support that Bangladesh needs. So reaching out to the diaspora communities and tapping their talents, tapping their investment resources should be in our priority. Many countries have long been, China and India being two examples, how they are tapping the diaspora talents. And it's not only the remittances that they send, but also the social capital, that the ideas, the technologies, and the collaboration that they can promote. I think we need to focus on those things. We should also focus on import substitution. These are very popular ideas nowadays because we have seen that what happens after COVID and Russia-Ukraine war. If we have a global major supply side logistic disruptions, then we're very much at the mercy of the international market. So we can see how we can invest in heavy industries and then substitute our dependence on the imports. Some cross-cutting issues. I agree with the Ambassador Humayun Kabir that skilling our people is something very important, and searching for strategic autonomy. Like we need to focus on what we want, what our interests are, rather than absolutely listening to others and then succumbing to the pressures of others. And finally, I conclude by saying that we need to, when it comes to comprehensive, we need to focus on a few things, that we should blend economic diplomacy with defense diplomacy, climate diplomacy, and technology-driven diplomacy. We are living in a world where AI is being a game changer, and then we need to closely watch how technology is going to be playing a very effective role in the formulation, implementation, and monitoring of the foreign policy. With that humble notes, I conclude here. Thank you so much.